What's going on? We are back off and running. So this is going to be part 4 of the TX Audio DAW Master Blaster class series. We're rounding the horn on the TX side. I'm going to show you today how to set up a dual card system, which is the preferred. I prefer this system over Banana only because it's incredibly quick, extremely low latency, and extremely stable. I have never had an issue with this system put together this way. So the first thing I wanted to talk about are the advantages and disadvantages. Those are two things. The advantages is, of course, there's no voice meter Banana involved. It's lower latency and it's much better stability. The disadvantages, and this can be dangerous, is possible RF ingress through cables, noise issues, which can be fixed. So what you're looking at right now are the two cards. So what you want to do is you want to set up one card as your primary station card. Okay, that is going to be the card that communicates with communicates with your rigs. That's the card. I would label that the primary station card. Okay, that's what I would consider card number 2. All right, that's the primary, but forget that. Just call it the primary station card. That's the card that's going to be communicating between your rig and the audio being processed. Now, the other card is going to run on the DAW. So what you're looking at are the two cards. This is I'm using this as a primary station card. Okay, this is the card that's communicating with the Anon and or the Sun and or the 7300 or whatever rig you may have that you're passing audio through, either VAC in the rig or a USB audio codec. i.e. ICOM, whatever. All right, this card is the card that's processing the audio in Cakewalk. So it takes one cable to patch this together. So this is the Cakewalk card right here. This is where your mic plugs into. So you plug your mic into this. And then what you do is, to make the connection, you come out of the back of your card, the output of this card, into the input of your primary station card. Now, the way I do it, this is the cleanest way. I don't care what anybody says. I've tried a 1/4 inch to 1/4 inch direct into this. I don't like it. And for some reason, it's got some kind of gross impedance mismatch. You'd think there'd be an impedance mismatch here, because I'm coming out 1/4 inch out of this card, out of the back, out of the line out, and coming into a 3-pin XLR. Not so. Not so. This will be a hotter input, but it's much quieter. I get absolutely zero noise through this input. So what I do is I take a 1/4 inch cable out of the back of this card, the Onyx card, and I took the 1/4 inch cable off the other end, and there's a schematic online that you can get for going from a 1/4 inch to 3-pin XLR. So that's what I did. And I wired it accordingly. That's the best way to do this. Okay. I will tell you, ferrite bead the living crap out of everything. Having two cards present in a station, keep in mind that these devices were never meant to be in an RF rich environment. Just keep that in mind. You can blow up a card with RF. So make sure that you do not have any RFI in your station. Okay, that's very, very important in any situation, but especially when you're dealing with equipment like this that can be kind of sensitive. I have never had an issue, but I'm very careful about RF. I have ferrite beads on both ends of the USB cables, and preferably get beads that are large enough that you can make more than one turn through them. So I have beads that are large enough I can do 2 turns through each bead which increases the choking capacity exponentially, right? That being said, that is done. So I went over the card designations, primary station card, cakewalk card, and I went over the hard connections, and I went over the patch from card to card. Now what we need to do is we need to jump over to cakewalk, DAW, okay, of course, you want to set your cards up accordingly. With this system, you will be able to run a very low buffer, making it extremely quick. There's no noticeable latency that I can hear. It is really, really quick. So just kick them. Make sure everything's good. Test 1 2. Test. Testing 1 2. Test. Testing 1 2. Test. Testing 1 2. Test. Yep, all good. All right. So and pardon the audio. I just did a very quick, rapid setup on the DAW with the plugins here. So let's get over to the settings. How to set the DAW up. So you need to set the DAW up to communicate with that DAW card. So first thing you need to do, of course, go to playback and recording, select ASIO, go to driver settings, make sure your sample rate is correct. Okay, of course, mine is running at 64 samples, 1.3 milliseconds. Very, very quick, as you can tell. Only 5.3 milliseconds round trip, which is stunning. Okay, now go to devices, and what you want to do in devices, you want to select the card that you're using on the DAW, right? So remember, this is the DAW card. In this case, it's the Mackie Onyx. Okay, so keep selecting the wrong screen. So you want to select that card in and out. Okay, go ahead and click apply. Okay. And double check your inputs and outputs. Input, if you came into channel 1 of that card, you want it set to analog 1, 1 left. Okay, that's channel 1, and your output you need set to analog 1 and analog 2. It's a stereo out of the card, the virtual out. Make sure your echo light is on and you're talking into it and everything is good. Now, if it doesn't light up for some reason, go up here, click save, and then close it. And reopen it again. It should light right up. Okay, of course, make sure your levels are set in your card on your microphone. Yada, yada, yada. Remember, levels first. So now that is done, now we can come over. And I'm running the Anon. So I'll show you how the Anon is set up. So remember, you have two cards. You have the primary station card, which is what the Anon is going to communicate with. And you have your cakewalk card, which is feeding audio out of said card to your primary station card. The output of the cakewalk card to the input of the primary station card. So what you need to do is you need to set your rig to the primary station card. In this case, it's the Behringer. So I select Behringer USB audio, make sure ASIO is activated. Now you will be able to push this pretty hard, and the latency should be very, very minimal. You'll be able to kick the monitor on and talk and listen to yourself through the monitor of the radio with no stumbling. It will be just crack-a-lack. So what I'm going to do, I won't be able to play the audio through the rig, but you'll see it light up. So let me just click OK here, get out of there. I'm going to kick the monitor off. My drive level's at 0, find a clear frequency. Let's go down here. Nothing going on, so I'll just key it and I will talk into the radio. And as you can see, I have audio. It's smooth. Everything's working the way it should. And if you look up here at my ALC, so my ALC is just trying to bump. It's bumping 0 off and on, which is good. I tend to set my ALC so it never, of course, my limiter is engaged, but I don't hit the limiter too hard. So what you can do, let me drag this over onto the screen. What you can do to control the drive level to your ALC is you take, there's a couple ways to do this. Of course, you want to make sure that Cakewalk is not clipping. You do not clip. You can control it here, but remember, if you change this here, if you change that on Cakewalk, it's going to change your input here. Remember, you got to keep track of signal flow. If you change one thing ahead of anything else in the chain, it's going to affect it here. So there's two places you can do it in Cakewalk, or you can do it with the input gain knob on your primary station card. Right? So those are the two ways you can do that. But I set my ALC up in the Anon so that I start low and I continually increase the gain until I see it just bump 0 dB. That means that I'm not slamming the limiter, causing any kind of weird issues, but you know, I still have enough audio to trigger pure signal and all that other stuff if I'm running barefoot. So that is it. All right, guys. We will catch you. This concludes the TX side of the coin. We're going to be moving into the RX DAP, which I know there is a lot of interest in based upon my correspondence with a few people. And I will show you some different options, and we will be going deep into that in configuring. I'll cover the VST configuration, edits, and you can find the VST. I'm not going to cover, I really have no interest in covering the RX DAP in the DAW. I find that VST host works really, really well, and that's all I use now. So there is a configuration. It's the entire VST host folder. It is on the website. You can download it all pre-configured, and I will show you how to make your connections and get everything running with multiple options, whether you're running a TX DAW or you're just running the RX DAP by itself. All right, 7-3 all. We'll catch you later.